Contemplation before chanting. The Sangha is invited to come back to our within so that our collective energy of mindfulness will bring us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, chant as one body, listen as one body, and transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating ourselves from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex.
When the river Dear respected day, dear friends of mindfulness. Here we are coming up like the brothers and the sisters gave me fist bumps and say, enjoy. Like I'm going into the ring, And then I sit here and everybody's like, woo, thank you. Makes me feel more comfortable here. Last night, during the slideshow, I saw an image of me sitting exactly here, like this. And I was like, what the vegan is going on here? Is that some sort of The Simpsons predicting the future again? And here I am, sitting exactly here. So please allow me, I'm going to change the timeline and remove myself to get out of this cycle. And I hope it changes something. Here we are. And changing is a good word because this is what I want to talk about with you today. The last days we explored how to be our own boss and how to be our own soulmate and how to be a monastic and how to be lazy and how to answer our own questions. So today we want to explore how to be the change we want to see in this world we live in. And since so many wise and insightful things have been shared already, actually we've been delivered the whole truth, so we can take it easy today and start with watching a little film. So we will have a film starting. Whoa. Good job, Google. So the next time somebody asks you, like, what's actually the meaning of life? You can say, like, I don't know, but it's probably very tiny. It's not, don't need to mention it. It's so small. I watched this thing like many times already, and every time it really gets me. It's like inside is outside. Isn't it like amazing how similar or the same things are? And we are kind of not even in the middle, but somewhere in this huge thing. And watching it, something happens inside of me that I relate to, when Brother Dukhim at the orientation said that meditation, another word for it is to remember. And Sister D spoke about it too, that one word in Chinese means to remember. And Brother G, on the panel here, he said when he encountered Buddhism, it was like that he rediscovered something. He knew it exists, and he rediscovered something that he had forgotten. And that's how I feel when I watch this. I know where my place is. I know who I am, basically. And I see the vastness and what's the opposite of vastness? The pettiness of it all, And there's even an atomic emptiness. Did you see that? Like there's a space out there where there's nothing. And also when you go inside your body, in the cell, there is also this, before it comes to the nucleus, there's this huge emptiness where there's nothing. And it reminds me, I remember watching this, being a kid. Being a kid and laying in the grass and watching ants. And then as a kid it came to me and said, like, they're so small, and I'm so big. But what if, like, I'm watching this ant, somebody like much bigger than me is watching me watching the ants. And then somebody bigger than that is watching that person watching me watching the ants. And is there a beginning and is there an end? These things, like, see what a kid I was. But I guess we all know that. And as a kid, we still have that understanding, that knowing, And this also explains to me, like, that it really much matters what I am doing. Because if everything is everywhere and all at once, then it really matters what I am doing now. Because it will have an effect. It will ripple out or in, but it will ripple away from me as a center of action. And that's, as amazing as it is, demands a level of responsibility too. What am I doing? And I see, or I sense, or I know that it is very sensitive and subtle. And either it is what I am thinking, or what I am saying, or what I am doing. It will cause something. It will ripple, and it will have an effect. And that's because of me. Tai calls this is because that is. This is maybe what we call the interdependent co-arising. Because of this, that happens. Because of that, this happens. The inner being, everything is connected. Everything is basically one and connected, and it cannot be different. So, and how does this come about, or how does this look like, or how is it created? And there, the Buddha gave us an answer. The Buddha said, what you think, you become. And now put it in relation to this big image, right? To this little movie. What you feel, you attract. And we know that, you know? When you walk the street and you're afraid of dogs and there's an unleashed dog coming your way, you're afraid, and the dog will sense your fear and will get afraid himself, and then will bark at you, because that's what dogs do when they're afraid, and it will make you, scare you even more. So, self-fulfilling prophecy. You feel and you attract. And what we imagine, we create. And now go back to your 5-year-old watching ants and listen to this again. Like, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. And what you imagine, you create. Now, when I look out in the world, into the world we're living in, I have to say something went completely wrong. You know, somebody thought completely wrong, imagined, and feels completely wrong, because what I see out there is a complete mess. And there is violence, there is envy, there is power play, there's a lot of suffering. Somebody yesterday called it the real world. And I was like, I'm not sure about that, you know? I'm not sure at all if what's a real world and what is an unreal. This is an unreal world, but people say that. Like, yeah, you guys, you live in a bubble here, and we in the real world, it's tough, you know? But who created this real world, you know? It was partly you and all the collective, with your imagination, with how you feel and what you think. It became that world because you keep that alive and you keep that nourished with your thoughts, with your speech, and with your action. We keep it alive. And then are these bubble people here? We at one point in our lives, we said we want to drop out of this, you know. We actually want to live differently. And it's not that we retreated, but we just made a decision to create our own real world. And then people say, yeah, you inside here, you know. But I said, I'm not inside, I'm outside. Because when I dropped out of the world, of society, of my system, I dropped out and I said, I'm not going to play this game anymore, I will become a monk. I'm going into the real world. And I'm dropping out of this world. And now you want to tell me I'm actually in and you're out? No. I'm out and you're, you know, you're in the matrix and you don't even know it. But I can tell you an exit. Here's an exit, you know, timeline. So everybody who feels you need to get out of the exit after the talk, please take a seat. And you find yourself on any screen somewhere, on Times Square or somewhere. And then I wonder if this is the world we want to live in, you know? And I don't believe so. I don't believe, not me, not the monastics who decided to make another decision and to live another life, but nobody actually wants that violent, power play, greedy, hard, tough, real world. But it became so habitual that we just accept it as it is, and it became like a thing. Life is like that. Life is hard. And we accept it like that. And now we have a chance to stop and to look at it again. And then listening to the words of the Buddha, reflect, what is it what I am thinking and I will become? What do I feel and will attract? And what I'm imagining, what I am creating. And then the question for me comes up, what's my part in this? How do I contribute to that world I don't want to live in? And how do I feed this world without even wanting to feed it? And I know for myself, before a monk and still now, for example, like I enjoy some good action movies, thrillers, action, a little bit kung fu, Ip Man and James Bond and all these guys. And what I'm doing is I'm actually watering seeds of violence, of good and bad. And I'm actually thinking, I'm feeling it, and I'm imagining this, and it reflects the world outside, and at the same time, I'm reflecting it outwards. I'm watering these seeds inside of me. And this seems to be kind of harmless. It's just a movie, but what are we doing the whole day? Who's playing computer games here? What are these computer? You're not playing the Smurfs, right? You're playing like ego shooters or like something where you have to be better, stronger, faster than the others. Or what we like to read. We don't like to read like boring stories. It has to have a good plot that thrills us. I think it's our choice, What are we taking in? What are we feeding ourselves and the world we live in? What are we offering? What kind of food are we offering? What are we thinking? What are we feeling? Yesterday also somebody said that watching these comics, these mangas on the phone made him sad. There we go. There was a moment of wake up, like an evolutionary moment. Like I believe your true self was talking to you saying, hey guy, like you're evolving, you're a changing being. You liked this for how many years? It was really cool, and now it makes you sad. It was you yourself talking to yourself. Why shouldn't you listen to yourself? And like Brother Peace, it was, I think, told you like, try a fast, try living without it for a time and then see what happens. I have encountered that in my life, that things I really loved to do became somehow boring, or I had a feeling I felt alienated from them. And I said, this cannot be, this is something I really love and enjoy doing. But it didn't give me that joy or that something that it did before. And I stopped, and I didn't miss it. So when I'm honest and frank with myself, I do a lot that builds the world out there, the violence. And while it's nice, to watch somebody like knocking out somebody, especially if the other guy is a bad guy, it's nothing I want to experience in my life, Like imagine 5:15, morning bell, you get ready, you get out of your room and somebody tackles you, like throws a blanket on your head and like pulls you to the meditation hall, and then you're like, whoa, where am I? Huh? Is that how you want to be woke up in the morning? But we want to watch it, We don't have a problem seeing that happening to other people. Like because we know they're actors, they're movies, but the seeds that have been watered in our hearts and our consciousness are the same. Maybe like more intense if it happens to us. But we're getting used to it. And as I said, it becomes habitual. And we know it's not okay, but it's always been like that, and it's like that. And I think this is not okay. It should never be okay. No? And I don't want to, no offense, I don't want to shame anyone. That's how it is, right? That's how it is. But somehow it's our choice. And this makes it very tangible, and the words of the Buddha make it very clear that we are at any given moment, it's in our hands to design not only our own lives, but also the life of the society, the family, the team, the people we live with. If we don't choose thrill over ease, violence over peace, watch a boring peace movie, then I rather don't watch it. Even better, don't watch it. Go out into the mountains and watch the sunrise or the sunset. So when I ask myself, looking at the world, looking at the suffering, looking at my suffering, looking at my dissatisfaction, looking at my not being fulfilled, not feeling whole, not feeling like I'm getting my potential and I'm getting my purpose and my meaning. And I'm asking myself why these things keep happening to me. And I want you to ask yourself too, why is this suffering, why does it keep happening to me? And I want to give you an answer to that question. But let's take it inside and let it ferment a little bit while we listen to the sound of the bell. Now when we take this question inwards, and we go into the realm of the atomic emptiness inside of us, into this place of knowing, of remembering, I believe we actually have an answer to that question, right? For me it is, why this keeps happening to me? It's because I keep being this me. I keep doing the same things again and again and again. I have my own mangas, and I have my own habits, and I have my own things that I feel they're not serving me, but I continue to do them. And at the same time, I want change. I want to see change happening around me, doing the same things day in and day out. Does it make sense? It cannot be happening. If I keep being this me, doing the same things, I will receive that. Instant karma, right? What I do, what I think, I become. And what I imagine, I create, and nothing else. So I will have to imagine something else, think something else, feel differently. If I want to see change, I have to be change. And I have to rediscover myself and reinvent myself every day, every moment, basically. Because this is immediate, right? Like this, the three karmas, the three actions. Karma is not I punch you and you punch me back. It's not this like equals out. Karma is action and the consequences, of course, of our actions. And the three actions are the thinking, the speaking, and our doing. And this has an immediate effect. on us, watering seeds, and on our environment. And just to be aware of that, I would say changes everything already, And we already are actively changing, being aware of that. And being able to stop and to look at things and give it a moment and to look deeply and to listen deeply to what I have just heard or thought or seen gives me power, gives me freedom to choose what world I want to build, what I want to attract, what I have to offer. And somehow it's always the same things that I see in this, what I called the real world, like, be careful what you're wishing for. Is that what we say? Be careful what you're wishing for. There we go. And this is self-fulfilling prophecy, because all this collective thinking out there is all like, I need to be better, I need to earn more, I need to be faster, I want to be like smarter than this guy. And all what we think and focus on is like, I would say not healthy, but it's not in the collective, not for the collective well-being. It's not watering seeds of compassion, of connection, of living peacefully together, because that's boring. I need thrill, I need a bit of violence, I need a bit of like ease and peace. It's boring. So that's why we create that world. And that's why we here create this world. Because we say there is something that I remember, and I want to give it the time and the space to actually penetrate me. And that out of that knowing, I act out and I speak out and I think. And to me, it is becoming whole again, a whole being. Empowering. In Buddhism, we speak about the 3 poisons. The 3 poisons are mental formations. We've seen them. And interestingly, these 3 mental formations that prevent us from being at peace, from being whole, from being happy, are 1, anger, 2, greed, and 3, ignorance. And I'm like, whoa, that's all, I think, the major values of our real world out there, Anger, to be angry at somebody, to have more, to be greedy than anyone else, and to blame anyone else, that's what the anger is. And ignorance, either to be ignorant, not knowing of the interconnectedness of everything, of the interdependence of everything, or just having enough from all that suffering and detaching and being indifferent. Whatever happens, happens. It's like that. I cannot change it. Detaching from the truth. And I found that interesting, that in the Buddhist teachings, maybe it was always like that, not only in our generation, civilization, but that anger, greed, and ignorance are easily watered seeds in us. Maybe like the human pitfall seeds. Maybe like cactus. They don't need even much water and they will still grow and bloom. So we got to watch out for these 3 seeds. But they're also not like just there, right? And there it says they all come out of a fear. So you're not just angry because it's so much fun to blame others, but there's a fear that makes you angry. And actually Yoda, remember Yoda, the guy with the ears and the green face? He said, fear is the path to the dark side. You remember that? The fear leads to anger, anger leads to hatred, hatred leads to suffering. And there we go. He knows it all. Okay, I take back when I said we shouldn't watch movies. Like, everything is relative, Einstein said, right? So you got to find, when it is nourishing, it's fine. It is fine. In this case, it served us, it served the remembering and it served the cause to investigate and to find ourselves. So all of these three mental formations stem from a fear. And I want to tell you so you can understand when you're getting angry. The fear behind anger is the fear of being rejected. Now, if you have been rejected in your life many times, as a kid, in school, at work, no, you don't get in here, close the door, and you're outside of the door, and inside are all your buddies, all the people you want to be with, and they said, no, you cannot be with us, and close the door, and you're rejected entrance. That makes you angry. You bang at the door, and you have someone to blame. These guys inside, they are my enemies. And not long that you start to hate them because they refuse to give you entrance, to include you. And maybe there is this deep knowing that there is no separation, but they separate you from them. That's where anger comes from. So when somebody yells at you, or you yell at somebody, and you have that one moment of stopping and deep looking, you can ask yourself, am I being rejected, or am I afraid of being rejected? What I just said to that person, did it make the person feel rejected, excluded? The same is true with greed, desire. Greed is the result of fear of being abandoned, of being alone in this atomic emptiness, nobody around, loneliness, nobody there. Do you know that feeling? Being, what's the song? All by myself. She actually want to be there. Maybe not. I know that feeling. And when you're left out, my parents, I love my parents, but they had their fun with me. They just, I don't know why. They have this black humor. My dad once told me that I'm actually not their child, but because they're from Croatia, and then every year they would drive to Croatia to see family, and then there was this gypsy wagon cart in front of them, and this baby fell out of the cart. And he didn't want to stop, but mom said, come stop, that's a little baby, and that's how I came to the family. Huh? And this was not rejected, but when I look back, I must have felt a little bit abandoned or lonely. And then sometime I would come back from kindergarten and ring the doorbell, and my dad would open and said, yes, hello? I said, Dad, let me in. He said, sorry, who are you? I said, Dad, I'm your son. He said, sorry, but we don't have a son. What? Lonely, like lost. Lost is a good word. The fear of being lost, of being lonely. And then what you do is, you become, greed is the last instance, but you look for a substitute, and that's where all the addictions come from. Be it alcohol, be it drugs, be it sex, be it power, be it money, be it whatever, you try to substitute this company, this belonging to something, to some group, to come back to that origin where you are a part of, but it doesn't feel like you're lost. That's the fear of being abandoned, is watering desire and greed in you. And the poison of ignorance is the fear of being unworthy. You see, if you're ignorant and you don't remember or you don't see the interconnectedness, the interbeing in the world, that everything depends on each other and is basically one. What was her name? inside her eye, outside of the galaxy, it looks basically the same. Me watching the ants, somebody watching me, watching them, watching. And maybe our galaxy is maybe just like one part of this nucleus of another cell which has another atomic emptiness. So where does it begin? Where does it end? And it's not important. Important is we are here now and what we think and what we say and what we do. That's what the Buddha also said. The most important thing is what we do now. Because that's where we are. Right? But maybe we get lost on that path and we say things are just like that and we become indifferent or ignorant and say, I don't care. I just do my thing and rock it through and earn my money and I don't care about my neighbor, about my colleagues, about my family. And we don't even care about connecting. And maybe there's a combination of these poisons because our family has been rejecting us, because my dad had abandoned me, And then they would hide. We would go to a department store, and I'd just look at something and they would hide and look at me, how I would react. And what do you think how I reacted? I cried. I cried and screamed. And then they come out somewhere laughing. I got you. You really did, but I love you. I mean, how not, right? The good thing about these poisons is to know that they stem from a fear. That gives me some kind of clarity and empowerment. And also, the good news is that for each of these poisons, there is a remedy. So we can actually help ourselves, empower ourselves, liberate ourselves from that poison by recognizing it, by seeing what fear it comes from, and by taking the remedy, doing the remedy. So for anger and the fear of being rejected, the remedy is loving kindness. Did we have the source of kindness this morning? Right? You are a source of loving kindness. So when we do kind acts, be them as small as they can be, we heal that fear. We help it change, to recognize itself, and to let go. I know I cannot be rejected because I'm a part of something very small and very big at the same time, with no beginning and no end, with no here and no there. What's most important is what I do and think and say now. There is no such a thing as rejection for me. And if I see a sort of rejection in the person in front of me, I can help that person by being kind. And you will see, if you try that, being angry, doing kind things, how something happens inside of you. Tai knew that living in a community is not easy. Living in an international community is even more difficult. Living in an international community of different age is even more and more difficult. And then living in an international community with different age and personalities, it can go anywhere. So he knew, although we live mindfully and we have good aspiration and intentions, conditions arise that we get angry at my brother, my sister, at each other. So he said, when you get angry with someone and you don't want to speak to him or her, or to them, make them a gift. I said, what? Never. I don't want to speak to them and I don't want to make them a gift. And then I thought to myself, when Tai said that, there's probably some truth in there. So let's give it a try. And I was angry with a brother. Not here, no one of you. It was a long time ago. I was angry a long time ago. But I said, no way. And then I thought better of it. And I thought, actually giving him a gift is better than talking to him. Then I don't need to apologize, and we don't have this awkward moment, like, yeah, me too. So I had a bag of tea, of good tea, because it has to hurt a little, right? You have to overcome your pride. So I took the good bag of tea and I went to him and said, hey. He said, yeah. I said, here, that's for you. I said, oh, that's tea. And I said, yeah, that's for you. He said, but don't you want to use it? I said, no, I want to give it to you. He said, that's so kind of you. And I said, yeah, it's okay. Just take it. And he was happy, It was not exactly like that, but I needed to exaggerate a little bit to give you the spirit of what was going on inside of me. So he was very happy, and I thought, leaving him again, that was so easy, And I feel better now. And I feel like now nobody has to apologize, but I can just talk normally to him again, And we can just sit as if nothing had happened, or I can actually address what has happened, but in a complete different spirit, because I lost that anger, because I lost that fear. So that was eye-opening for me, doing kind acts. In New York, I was at the Blue Cliff Monastery. Oops. And we sometimes went to the city, and they have so many bridges, right? All this Robert F. Kennedy Bridge to here, and this Kennedy Bridge to there. And everywhere you pay $1 or $2 to cross the bridge. And then there is this New Yorker thing, they call it the attitude of gratitude. So you come with your car to that little toll booth, and you say, hi, good morning, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? So how much is it? And she says, oh, nothing, the car in front of you paid for you. I said, no kidding. She said, yeah, paid for you. And I said, how cool is that? Can I pay for the car behind me? She said, of course. So I pay for the car behind me. So then I imagine like the little boy looking at the ends, right? I imagine the car behind me pulling up and saying, how much is it? And they say, already paid. I say, what? Who was that? The car before you. Can I pay for the car behind me? Of course. And so, little act of kindness does something. Why would that person spend $1 on me? He doesn't even know me. So beautiful. Now for the greed, the fear of being abandoned. Guess what? The remedy is generosity. Generosity in giving. You said, what? But I don't have anything. That's why I feel so greedy, because I'm all by myself. I'm lost. I'm lonely. I don't have anyone or anything. Generosity, it is. So whenever you see a person that has less than you can give something to that person. If it's $1 to a homeless at the traffic light, if it's a smile to somebody who you see is sad, and you see it's also combined, like there's a little bit of kindness in there, there's generosity, there's the wish of giving, of wishing you well. And then you feel when you practice giving that there's an abundance to give. And you don't lose when you give. You win. The only thing you lose when you give is the fear of being abandoned. And that's a good thing. You lose your fear. And you can give things away without feeling that you've lost something. Even made you richer inside. See the whole thing. Louise was her name, I remember it. And that's very beautiful too. That's something is my personal topic. And I think we all have, like, to some parts, all of the topics, anger, but as I said, like, my anger was years ago. So I can be angry, but my topic is more, in my whole life, was more like addiction, for example. Greed, like I need that. And you know how they say, how you know you're an alcoholic if you don't buy one bottle of whiskey, but two, just to have one more if the other is empty. So you think ahead to not be lonely, lost, without anything. So because you need something. But if you have that connection again, and you feel you are connected, and you're part of something big, you don't need anything to hold on. You can actually let it go and give it away. And that is very freeing. As for the ignorance and the fear of being unworthy, and this probably comes from times when people told you, you're stupid, you don't know, let me do this. I can do it better than you. No, you're not playing in our team because you don't know how to play basketball. And then you're watching always, and at one point you're believing you're not worthy being in that team, you're not worthy doing that thing. And what you do is getting used to it. It's like that you will always look for lower things than you actually deserve. And you never look for the things that make you happy because you believe that you are not worthy of happiness, being fulfilled, of love, of being a part of it. Because you believe everyone telling you that you are not a part of that inner being. But we know that everything is interconnected and I'm a part of it. And it's not about being inferior or superior or equal. I'm just very unique. And there cannot be such a thing as more worthy or less worthy or equal. In the life of Brian, somebody watched that movie? They had this, somebody was shouting out to a mass of people, we are all individuals. And the one guy cries out, I am not. So we're all unique. We're not the same. And that makes us worthy because there is a space for us. There's a place for us in the circle. Did we sing that song? So the remedy for that fear is wisdom, they say, and that's a big word, but I understand it as surround myself with wisdom, like wise people, wise Dharma talks, wise books, and even more empowering, engage in wisdom, which means practice. Practice mindfulness, practice breathing, getting in touch with that what you remember. Turn inwards and encounter your true self, encounter your beautiful self, your individuality. You're being part of something so big. You're recognizing that what I do now has an effect, makes a change. For me, when I change, and I also change something outside. And I can actually steer it somewhere with loving kindness, being peaceful, being compassionate, reaching out, being generous, being wise. Not always being right, for example. We don't need to be right. Even you argue with someone who believes they are right, but you know that you are right. You know what my parents do? Talking about my parents. I'm sorry, parents, but you're so present in my heart that I have to talk about you all the time. My parents argue, and then at one point, yeah, no, yes, of course, no, I told you, no, it's not like that. And then they realize how silly that is. And then one of them, and they take turns, says, okay, you're right. And they are already like, and I'm at peace. I say, what? I want to be at peace. No, you're right. No, I'm at peace. No. There we go again. So to be the wise person is to let the other person be right. If you see they want to be right in that moment, let them be right. And you're at peace. You know? And then there will be the day when you're right. And the perfect thing is you're right and at peace. You know? So let's work for that. So that's the remedy for ignorance. To engage in wisdom, to surround yourself with wisdom, with insight, to seek insight and wisdom in whatever you think, you speak, you do, you look for. What would Thai do? You know, when I was angry with that brother, I asked myself, what would Thai do? And then I remember Thai said, give him a gift. I said, yeah, there's a reason why he said that. There's this one American actor, I don't know his name and what he's acting, but I read a quote of him. And he said, whatever you do, ask yourself, would an idiot do that? And if the answer is yes, don't do that thing. I think that's something my mom could have told me. So one thing is to surround yourself with wise people, and the other thing is ask yourself if an idiot would do that, what you're about to do. And if the answer is no, don't do it. Yeah. So you see, when we live in this space, in this immediate karmic space, what we actually do, and everything counts from our subtle thoughts, which we learn to tame, and which we learn to calm down and to make decisions based on a calm mind, and out of clarity and solidity, and with the aspiration to be helpful and contribute to the well-being of others and making the world a more beautiful place. That's beautiful. Huh? Then we are creating this. And then we are on the way like to a more beautiful world. And it all starts here and now with little tiny decisions we're making. Shall I honk? Don't honk. You know? Shall I show him the finger? Don't. You know? Just breathe and see him. What poison, is he suffering from? What fear is he suffering from? Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe she's sick. Maybe there is something you don't even need to know. What you need to do is to take care of your own garden and water the seeds of wisdom, of generosity, of loving kindness. And lots of it, and we have it in our language. And it's amazing how we speak about things and we don't hear them while we're saying them. And they are like these hidden gems. Just listen to this. Paying attention to something. Are we paying attention to something all the time, right? Did it ever cross your mind what that means? Like you pay attention to me, right? It's like a currency. The currency is attention. Now let me go a bit further. If we pay, because we call it pay, if we pay for something that we want to buy with the money that we earn, don't we look, how much money do I have? Can I afford this, what I want to buy? Is this actually worth the price I have to pay from the money that I'm working hard for? And then, if yes and yes, will this object actually bring me happiness or bring me something that it is worth spending the money? Will it fulfill me? Will it do something with me that I say, I don't regret wasting the money. And I might not be sure, so I go to another website and see if I can get a better product or a cheaper that makes me even happier. Now, when we pay attention, you know it, huh? We are much more wasteful. We don't go through all these questions. How much attention do I actually have at hand? How much capacity do I actually have right now to give away without losing my inner peace, without losing my happiness? And how much attention do you want from me? And for what? You know, is it actually something I want to invest my attention in? Or is it something which I find is actually harmful, or it makes me sad? Coming back to the one topic. Actually, it makes me sad to read this now. So do I want to give it my attention? And then even we can go even further, and you see how much choice we have each moment. So if I want to give my attention, I say, okay, not sure, but let's try it, and I give it like 10% of my attention for 10 minutes. I make a deal with myself. So I'm not sure if this will be very helpful, but I give it a try. So I pay a little bit of my attention for a certain amount of time, and then when this time is up, I check in and say, am I happier now? Am I more free? Do I feel more connected to myself and the universe, to the world I'm living in? Am I actually doing something, rocking it, making this place the world I want to live in? And if the answer is no, stop it. Don't do it. Don't pay attention. Don't pay any more attention. There's so many things that not only deserve or are worth, but are making us happy if we pay more attention to them. Like being kind, for example, being generous, offering a smile, like you to me when I started to sit down, or the brothers giving me fist bumps. It does something. It makes me, I feel connected. I feel like I'm a part of it. I feel supported. And I want to share that out too. So this becomes more. By giving it away, it becomes bigger and more. And sometimes we feel we don't have it in us. And I know it, and I think, I just don't have it in me today. But then again, because I like to be honest with myself, I said, flip side it. Just flip side what you just said. And then I flip side and I said, I just have it in me today. And I say, you see, that sounds much better. You have it in you all the time, every moment. It depends what you think, it depends what you feel, it depends what you imagine. But remember, and remember by taking some time, a little bit time off, and pay attention to your breathing, to your body, to your feelings, to your mental formations, your perceptions, your consciousness, the seeds in your consciousness. Just go inwards and pay attention to these things, to yourself. It's like owning Nike and buying Nike shoes. You invest in yourself. The more you pay attention to yourself, the richer you get. The happier you get. The freer you get. So you have it in you. Even if you sometimes think, I just don't have it in me. Flip side it. I just have it in me. And then it makes me smile and say, you mischievous brother Freedom, you always know how to get me. So that's at your service. I'm here for you. And I want to show you how powerful it is to pay attention to something. And so I decided just spontaneously to reveal exclusively here for you now a secret spiritual practice. Because I think the time is ripe to wake up. And Kenley asked me, Kenley, after this secret spiritual practice, we will watch another movie. Just for the fun of it. So, because I want to prove to you how powerful you are in times when you believe you just don't have it in you. Shall we do this together? Can I hear a yes? Yes! All right. So, we begin like with every spiritual practice. We roll up our sleeves because that's a very important preparation. You're getting ready for something, right? Okay. Can everybody see me from there? Now, we want to look at our wrists. Our wrist has two lines. Everybody sees the two lines in your wrist? When you move them a little bit, you see two lines. So bring them together. The two lines exactly together so that they exactly match in each other. Everybody, and now bring together your hands. And you will see that when you look at the tip of your fingers, that one hand is a little bit longer than the other hand. Is that right? Sometimes they are just the same, so just try it again. If your hands are the same, just try it again, but it doesn't actually matter. If they are the same, it doesn't matter. So now, those of you who have a shorter hand, lift that shorter hand up. And those of you who have an equal hand, just take one and lift it up. So now we want to pay attention to that hand, okay? With our own mind, with everything we've got here and now. Turn the hand to your face. Look at it as if you would look at your best friend. Give it a smile, an authentic, genuine smile, and say, my fingers are growing longer and longer and longer and longer. Let's do this together. Look at it, smile, and now we say it all. My fingers are growing longer and longer and longer and longer. Are you really convinced of what you're saying? Say it again. My fingers are growing longer and longer and longer and longer. And I'm paying all my attention. 100% of my attention goes into my hand. One more time. My fingers and longer, longer, longer. Okay, a moment of truth. Where are the two lines? Bring together the two lines. Fold up your hands. Jesus Christ, superstar. Is this happening to you too? Did we just grow our hands by just asking them to be longer? But don't forget, it's a secret spiritual practice, so keep it for yourself. But whenever you feel small or weak or not empowered to be your true self, remember, and maybe you want to play this little trick, and convince yourself that there's a lot of power inside of you. All right. And to come to a full circle, I want to end the talk as we begun with leaning back, relaxing, and enjoying a little film. Thank you.